The derelict cargo hauler drifted in the abandoned sector like a tomb among the stars. Ronan Hale had stumbled upon it 3 months ago, while salvaging parts from the graveyard of forgotten vessels. What he found inside changed everything he thought he knew about survival and humanity's place in the cosmos. In the cargo bay, beneath fallen support beams and scattered debris, lay Velryx. The creature was magnificent even in ruin. Scales that shimmered between violet and midnight blue covered a body nearly 12 feet long. Wings that once must have been glorious now lay crumpled and useless. But it was the eyes that stopped Ronan cold, ancient. Intelligent eyes that held more awareness than any animal should possess. The dragon, for what else could he call such a being, was paralyzed from the neck down. The ship's logs told a story of betrayal. Velryx's own crew had abandoned her when raiders attacked, fleeing in the escape pods and leaving her trapped when the gravity stabilizers failed. The falling beam had severed her spinal cord, and they hadn't even tried to free her. "Not on my watch," Ronan had muttered that first day, already calculating what it would take to keep the creature alive. 3 months later, he was still there. Every morning, Ronan checked Velryx's vital signs with equipment he'd jury-rigged from medical scanners and engine diagnostics. He'd converted a nutrient recycler into a feeding system, carefully researching alien biochemistry through his ship's database. The first few weeks were trial and error. Some substances made Velryx violently ill, others she couldn't metabolize at all. But Ronan persisted with the stubbornness that defined humanity's best and worst qualities. "You're not dying today," became his daily promise, spoken as he cleaned her scales, checked for pressure sores, and massaged her paralyzed limbs to maintain circulation. Velryx couldn't speak, at least not in any way Ronan understood at first. But she could blink. 1 blink for yes, 2 for no. It was rudimentary, but it was communication. Through patience and an improvised alphabet board, they built a language between species. "Why?" she asked one day, laboriously spelling out the letters with her blinks. "Why stay?" Ronan looked up from the neural stimulator he was building, a device cobbled together from a navigation computer and medical probes, designed to map her damaged nervous system. "Because nobody deserves to die alone and forgotten," he said simply. "Not humans, not dragons, not anyone." The answer seemed to puzzle her. In her species hierarchy, the weak were abandoned. Resources went to those who could fight, fly, hunt. A paralyzed Draconi was already dead by their cultural standards, but humans, she was learning, had different standards. Ronan worked 18-hour days. He scavenged parts from other wrecks, trading his dwindling credits for medical equipment through encrypted channels. He studied xenoneurology, taught himself surgical techniques from downloaded databases, and made mistakes that would have killed a less resilient patient. But Velryx proved as stubborn as he was. On day 73, her tail twitched. Ronan nearly dropped his welding torch when he saw it. Can you do that again?" The tail moved, just barely but unmistakably deliberate. He whooped so loudly in the empty cargo bay that Velryx's eyes widened in alarm. Then, and he swore this was true, she made a sound that resembled laughter. Progress came in agonizing increments. A claw flexing, a wing shuddering. Each victory was celebrated, each setback met with renewed determination. Ronan constructed an exoskeleton frame from cargo lift servos, creating a support system that would let Velryx hold her head high again. He programmed physical therapy routines based on human rehabilitation protocols, adapted for her alien physiology. "Humans are insane," Velryx spelled out one evening, after a particularly grueling therapy session left her exhausted. "Yeah," Ronan agreed, grinning as he adjusted the neural stimulator for the next treatment. "We really are. We climb mountains because they're there. We sail into storms to see what's on the other side. We don't give up on each other even when logic says we should." He met her ancient eyes, especially then. "Your species will conquer the galaxy," she told him. "Not through strength or technology, but through sheer irrational refusal to accept defeat." Month 4 began with a breakthrough. The neural stimulator finally bridged the gap in Velryx's severed spine, creating new pathways through bioelectrical stimulation and regenerative compounds Ronan had synthesized. Her legs responded to commands from her brain for the first time since the accident. She stood, shakily, held upright by the exoskeleton frame, but standing nonetheless. Ronan watched with tears streaming down his face as the dragon who'd been left to die took her first trembling steps in 4 months. Each movement was accompanied by the whir of servos and the hum of the neural bridge, but it was movement. It was life reclaimed. Fly, Valeric spelled out, her eyes fixed on the cargo bay's viewport where stars glittered in the endless dark. You will, Ronan promised. We're not done yet. 2 weeks later, a Draconi warship entered the sector. They detected Valeric's biosignature, faint but unmistakably alive, and came to investigate what should have been a corpse. They found instead a paralyzed dragon walking with mechanical assistance, tended by a human who'd sacrificed months of his life for a being he owed nothing to. The warship's commander stood in the cargo bay, staring at the impossible scene. You saved her, he said to Ronan in heavily accented standard. When her own kind abandoned her, a human saved her. Ronan shrugged, embarrassed by the attention. Seemed like the right thing to do. Valrix, her voice restored through a translator Ronan had built, spoke for the first time in months. He carried me when I could not move, fed me when I could not eat, gave me hope when I had none. This is humanity. Remember it. The commander's expression shifted from confusion to something approaching awe. We will remember. The Draconi honor debts. Your species has made a powerful ally today. After they left, Valrix departing in a medical transport with promises to return once fully healed, Ronan stood alone in the empty cargo bay. The exoskeleton frame remained, a monument to months of struggle and triumph. His communicator chimed. A message from Valrix, already light years away. When I fly again, it will be because of you. Humanity taught me that broken things can heal, that weakness can become strength, and that true power lies not in abandoning the fallen, but in lifting them up. Ronan smiled, gathering his tools. Time to move on, to find the next impossible thing that needed fixing, because that's what humans did. They didn't give up. They didn't leave anyone behind. They carried each other through the dark, and sometimes they carried dragons too.